Everybody, K-Star.
Thank you all so much. My wife, unfortunately, could not be here, which I thought was, a truth. But now I think actually she's together with Eli's wife, and and I think they're like, we got to shut this shit down. We cannot have these guys quitting their CEO gigs and going off for a life of comedy. So actually, I think they're probably just afraid of watching this train wreck in real time. So anyway, so speaking of train wrecks, so. Marrying my wife. Actually, that's not the train wreck. It was marrying her, or meeting my wife and getting her to marry me was the culmination of a series of antics and gimmicks to try and meet girls, because I'm just not a natural guy when it comes to that. And it dates back to my first crush, which was my first grade girlfriend. Her name was Janet Finfer. And I went to go to her birthday party at Valley Low Country Club. And now Valley Low has this great big lake, and I went there and I was like, I'm gonna impress this girl by catching a fish. And now Valley Low, so I had my pole. I didn't have any bait, so I'm using French fries. And it turns out that Valley Low, if you haven't been there, it's got this big lake. The other thing they used to have was 2 prize swans. Now, turns out swans love French fries. And so I'm sitting there fishing, mind my own business, and this swan comes flapping out of nowhere, swoops down, grabs my fry, swallows the fry, and the hook, and takes off until the line gets taut, snaps him out of the air, he smashes down into the water, and this groundskeeper guy goes racing out in a dinghy, rescues a swan, gets him off the hook, and he comes back to land. And he comes over to me and he goes, "Boy, there's a reason we don't have a rule against fishing with French fries. It's like, don't you ever come back here ever again." Now, I live down the street from Valley Low, and I haven't been there in 30 years. But I'm pretty sure I got Janet Finfer's attention. So, jump forward to my freshman year in college. And I'm like, I got to do something to, differentiate myself. And so I go to the pet store in the mall, and I come home with a kitty cat. Now, this did not have the effect that I was hoping. Turns out a kitten does not have the sexual gravitas that I was really hoping for. I'm not sure how I hoped this would go. Like, I'd go to a fraternity party and I'd be like, "Hey, you want to come back to my room and pet my furry little friend?" It was a total train wreck. I always just seemed creepy. So I returned the cat, went back to the mall, returned the cat. I kept the receipt, and I went home with a dog. Now, this dog was amazing. His name was Zephyr. He was a Siberian Husky. He had 2 bright blue eyes. Absolutely spectacular. Now, I had no business taking care of a dog. I could barely take care of myself. This apartment that I was living in, I flooded twice because I kept pouring bacon grease down the drain, which was one of the many things I did not know about life. But I felt like I was doing pretty good, and I was figuring it out. And so I built this amazing dog run for Zephyr to go out, and I had all this great pea gravel, and I didn't know what he would eat, so I just tossed all my food out in the dog run, and he could have his pick of whatever he wanted to. So I tossed my ramen noodles and my spaghetti and my salad out there, and he could have anything he wanted. It was like a buffet. And it turned out to be a genius solution to my bacon grease problem. So no more floods. And so Zephyr and I were doing pretty good. I thought we were getting through life together, figuring shit out. And freshman drop-off weekend rolls around. This is when all the freshman girls, guys too, but the freshman girls all show up at campus. And Zephyr and I have been waiting for this all summer. And my fraternity house throws this raging party the night before. And Zephyr and I pass out in the lobby and on the couches and wake up the next morning, and we go out so he can do his business. And we're immediately flocked by a gaggle of beautiful freshman girls. And they come around, and I'm flirting with them, and they're petting Zephyr, and I'm like, my God, this is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel, man. This is going to be the greatest year ever. Let's go get changed. let's go out in the quad. Let's go pick up some babes. So I go back inside, and I go to the bathroom. And I look in the mirror, and I must have passed out early the night before because somebody drew a giant penis on my face. This, you know how like Mike Tyson has that tattoo that like starts down here and goes all the way up like this, right? I mean, there were like these giant balls, and the bong went way up like this, and this was not some quickly drawn like stick figure penis. No, this artist took pride in their work. There was shading for like depth and girth. There were little sprigs of hairs coming off of the balls. There was a genital wart on one of the balls. I mean, this could have been in like a Grey's Anatomy textbook. So I reflect back on the conversation I just had with this group of girls. None of them mentioned at all Leonardo da Vinci's Sistine penis that was tattooed on my face, right? So I'm not deterred, so I scrub the cock and balls off my face. And Zephyr and I go out to the quad to pick up babes. Now, I did not believe in putting this dog on a leash. So I had this dog needs to be able to run. He's almost like a wolf, right? So I just had this like zapper collar thing that I'd gotten out of some farming mail order catalog. And we go out in the quad, and I'm throwing this ball around. And every time I throw it, he comes back with more girls. So I'm throwing the ball, he comes back with more girls. And I have all these girls around me. And I might have gotten a little overconfident. And I'm like, y'all want to see something really cool? Watch this. And I whip the ball all the way down to the other end of the quad. And Zephyr takes off like a bolt of lightning. And he's running, and he gets to that ball. He just keeps on going. And I'm like, I'm still trying to be cool. I'm like, Zephyr, stop. Zephyr, hang on, buddy. Zephyr, come here. Fuck, I gotta stop him. So I get out my zapper collar. And this is not like modern, like newfangled like key fob size technology. This was like a Vietnam radio. Like you call in like a napalm strike with, right? It had this like 4-foot antenna, and I had to put the antenna up. And in the front, it had two icons. Dog and horse. And I'm like, this is an emergency. So I flip the switch to horse, push this giant red button, and down in the distance, you just see all of Zephyr's limbs just go limp. And he's doing about 30 miles an hour at the time, right? He's flying, and he just hits the ground and just slides to a stop. And now he's not moving at all. He's out cold. I hear this girl behind me. She's like, I think you just killed your dog. So I'm like, fuck. So I put my antenna down, and I go running over to get to Zephyr, and I get there. And there's like this trench that he hit, and he like dug this trench on the way down, right? And he's at the end, and he's just coming to. And he rolls over on his back, and he just starts howling. And I'm like, Zephyr, shh, shh. And everybody's looking at us. People are coming out of the library, and they're looking at. And I'm like, you're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing us. Shh, shh. So we're at the vet's office. And I'm like, hey, doc, Zephyr's got this like twitch going on. And he keeps howling. Can you check him out? I think there might be something wrong. I'm not sure what happened. I think he fell down. So I go away. I come back a few hours later to a very angry doctor. And he's like, what the fuck have you been feeding this dog? And I was like, that's a weird question. But why? And he's like, because he came in and his stomach was all blocked up. We had to put him under, do emergency surgery, pump his stomach, and this is what came out. And he holds up this giant, clear Ziploc bag full of gravel. This smelled like bacon. And I'm like, oh, okay. But no sign of electrocution, right? So he sends me home with some pamphlets, like how to take care of your animal, 7 deadly chemicals to keep out of reach of your pets, how to know if you should give up your dog for adoption. But in the end, it all turned out fine. He went off and lived with this wonderful family. And unfortunately, this was not my last incident with, with animals, because I learned how to take care of my bacon grease, and eventually I got the girl and actually ended up joining that Valley Low Country Club. And we're going through the orientation, and we walk into this big dining room, and there are these 2 giant swans. And my wife walks in there and she's like, "Oh, look, we have swans on the lake." And the guy's like, "Not anymore." He's like, "Unfortunately, some kid killed that one." And swans mate for life. And so that one died of a broken heart, like shortly thereafter. And I look at him and I'm like, "Are you telling me some kid killed 2 birds with 1 fry?" And he looks at me and he's like, "How'd you know it was a fry?" Now I don't know what the statute of limitations are on double bird homicide, but let's please keep that one YPO confidential. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.